I had 1 year of Latin in high school. But years later, it wouldn't be enough to properly know what the words of the familiar hymn, Ubi Caritas, meant. We'll sing this hymn during communion today. And the refrain is, Ubi Caritas est vera, Deus ibi est, which translates, where true love is, God is there. If you know the hymn already and it's stuck in your head, I'm sorry, but it's actually a good message to keep in mind. Where there is love, there is God. Whether we know that or not, it doesn't matter. And as to who is loving, it also doesn't matter. Where and when, for example, an atheist shows love to another, God is present. Where and when a non-Christian shows true love, God is present. Always and everywhere, where there is love, there is God. Readings today, especially St. John's letter and the Gospel, reveal to us God is love, and as humans, we are all about love. More specifically, as Catholics, we are called to love one another and to remain in God's love. Contrary to what some anti-church commentators say, the church is not about hate and judgment, strict rules, and an oppressive ideology. People in the church sometimes may be at times, but the church is the body of Christ. God's working in our world, in our midst, in and through. And as Archbishop Perez likes to say, despite us. Where there is love, God is. But what does that practically mean? Well, for one, it explains why marriage is so sacred and a sacrament, a visible sign of an invisible reality through which a couple, with the grace of God, reveal God's presence in all they do in love. A husband and wife are uniquely able to express love in the most complete way. Not just to each other, but to others as well. And as rooted in marriage, the family, in its expression of love, further reveals God's love to the world. Think of that for a moment. Think about how we make love present to others. We are made in love, for love, to love. And in a sense, we have the power to reveal God's presence, to reveal Him to others simply by our love. But what about outside of marriage? Here too, true, authentic love for one another is evidence of God's presence in those particular circumstances. Think for a moment again, examples in our lives, how we show self-giving, love, humility, sacrifice, forgiveness, all elements of love. When we love our spouse, our children, grandchildren, friends, relatives, and yes, even if we dare love those who we don't otherwise care much for, when we can step out of our selfishness and truly love another, we make God present. You might say, this all sounds very nice and good, But what about the question many often ask, where was God? Where was God in cases of suffering of an innocent child with cancer, for example? Or when someone undergoes an unspeakable violence? Or in mass shootings or other tragedies, seemingly all too common these days? Or with prevailing systemic injustices? Where is God? Friends, one answer is God was there when self-giving, sacrificial love of a parent, relative, or friend was beside the child. When the first responder or nurse or therapist showed compassionate love and care to the traumatized, injured, or sick person. Right now, a very close friend of ours is actively dying. God's with her because her daughters are there loving her. Not because she's praying the rosary or there's a holy card on the table. Many friends who are visiting and praying for her are expressions of love for her. And that reveals God there in the midst of that dying. This is a major way that God acts in our world, how He relates to us, how He loves us through others, because the love we have and the love we show to others doesn't originate with us, but it is derived from God, God who is love. And where there is love, there is God. In a few moments, as we approach the altar to receive love Himself, present in a seemingly insignificant little wafer, and while Ubi Caritas is sung, let's be even more reverent. Let's be even more mindful of receiving Him who strengthens us through the Blessed Sacrament to better love one another.